Hey Tony, Joe Andrews here. Hadn't seen you for a while. What I'm going to do is kind of run through my paper and really teach it to my family because they're all here. I have three kids here. Say hi.
Hi.
And my wife is here too.
Hi.
I guess I'll just get started. So this is weird. Let me think here for a second how I want to do this. So a long, long time ago, First Baptist Church started in 1899. Okay, that's over 100 years ago. So over 100 years ago, this little small group of believers gets together and they decide they want to do a church. Jack, are you listening? Come on, man. Come on, help me out. And so this little group of believers decides to make a church, all right? They had been meeting in different places for a long time, and they decide we're going to make a church. And so for over 100 years, our church has been around, and it's been doing what it does, and it's been trying to reach people and doing different things like that to reach people. Well, about 2.5 years ago, which is like 118 years after the church started, the church was kind of, you guys don't even know this because we were living in Argentina, but the church was starting to lose members and it was just kind of going downhill. And it was on the way to dying, okay? A lot of the people from, the younger people from the church had stopped going to the church. That's a little too loud. Hey man, put that down. And a lot of the older people, remember in the first service, you guys have gone to the first service with me? A lot of those people were kind of some of the only people that were going to the church. And so younger families like ours that had a lot of kids and things like that weren't coming. And so the church got together and they said, all right, we need to do something about this because if we don't start doing something different, our church is going to die, okay? Church dying just means the church closing. You got that? All right, so the church was going to die, and so what they decided to do was they're like, all right, let's get a group of us together, and let's go look for a pastor. So they found Dr. Burroughs, all right? Don't look at that. That's Tony. Don't look at Tony.
I'm looking at Tony.
All right. So they got together, and they decided, let's get a pastor, and let's get a pastor that can help us change so that more and more and more people will come to our church, okay? And so they thought that was a really great idea. So they brought Dr. Burroughs on, and Dr. Burroughs started making changes in the church really fast, okay? He started making changes so fast in the church that some of the other people in the church thought, this is going a little too fast for us, and I don't like all these changes. And so you had a whole bunch of people that were really excited to do everything that the pastor was leading them to do. And then you had a few people who were starting to get bugged. And they were kind of upset at all the changes because it changes the way that they had been doing church for so long. So one of the things that the pastor was actually deciding to do was the church had already bought a great piece of land, the piece of land that the new church is on. All right? And the pastor said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to build on that land, on the land that you've already bought. You already bought it before I came, but we're going to build on it. And the church was thinking, well, we could build on that land in like 10 years or more. And so he's like, well, if I'm going to be the pastor, though, you're going to need to do this now. And so he came and he started doing everything to get the whole church in line so that it could build a new church and so that everybody could start going to the new church. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. All right. So that's really how get out of the screen. So that's really how the pastor was going to start changing things by making a brand new church for First Baptist. Okay? Now, in making that new church, there's a lot of things that have to change. And one of the things that has to change is only the The people that go to our modern worship service, like with the band and everything, those are the only people that are going to go out to the new service, to the new location on Sundays. So they're going to have church there, and the traditional people that worship with the hymns and the organ and the piano, they're going to stay at the other location until we have enough money and we can build everything a little bigger. So the problem is that the church was dying, and that's one of the ways to fix it. But to fix it and to move, to relocate a church, means that you also have to change a culture. And if you start changing a culture, that's when people get really upset. You guys know what a culture is? That's the way you do everything. So this church had a way of doing every single thing that it did. And now we built another church, and it changes the way that they did everything. And that hurt a lot of people. A lot of people got hurt, and a lot of people didn't like that. All right? And those are the people that I call others. You look really happy. Tony, if you could see the faces of my children right now, they're not happy with me.
Yeah, why?
So when you bring in culture change and everything like that, you're gonna upset people. And the people that are upset lately have been very vocal. All right, that means they're talking a lot. So the people that are talking a lot, get out of the camera. You don't have to go in. Yes, you did. And so you totally made me lose where I was. So these others is what I call them in the paper. These others are people who at one time were probably definitely ready and willing to do anything that the church needed to do to grow. And when change started hitting is when everything began to get harder for those people. And those people started being angry. And those people started telling other people that they were angry. And so I call them the others because they're in the minority, because most of our church wants to move. Most of our church is ready to do that. Even the people that are staying in the old location are excited that the new location is being built and everything like that. So culture is going to change in a few ways. And one of the biggest ways that culture is going to change is through health. London, if you could just give me a second. It's going to be all right. You're gonna live?
No.
My kids think I'm killing them. No.
No, I don't.
One needs the restroom. That one needs the restroom.
I don't.
That one, make some of the faces you were just making. All right.
She was all.
So we want culture to change in three ways, and one of the ways, Tony, was in the area of health, and we want the health of all of our members, even the others that are against everything that's going on right now and causing problems and everything else. We want them to reach health, their full potential in health. I call it thriving instead of flourishing. Another way that we want to do that is through community, and another way is through service. And so we're working in our church to make these three things happen with everything that we're doing. And so the first way is we want to move people into health. So whether it's those naysayers or whether it's anybody else, we want them moving into a healthy relationship. And the main way that we do that is by continually getting this information in front of the church and telling them that they're a part, and even though these changes are difficult, that it's going to be okay. The other way that we do it is through great, solid, clear biblical teaching, which we have never strayed away from, but it's something that we're working towards as well. Another way that we want to move people towards health is really setting up a way for biblical counseling to be a thing that's in our church. So I've done a little of it since our class, very little. We've done some premarital counseling and things like that, and talked to some other people about some minor problems, but we really want that to become a culture in our church where we are a church who can offer that kind of service to our members. And so another way that we want to change culture in our church is by setting up our church for community. And community is really connect groups. You guys know what connect groups are, right?
Yeah, I know.
We have a connect group at our house, huh? So one of the ways that we want to move people towards health, and one of the ways that we think we can use so that some of those people that are kind of having a hard time with this big move and everything else is to get them involved in community. And that could be Sunday school class, or that could be connect groups, or any other groups that the people are involved in at the church. And if they get involved in those things, they're going to start, I think they're going to catch the vision of the church a little bit better, because they're going to be with a whole bunch more people who are excited, and I think some of that excitement will rub off on. Another way that we're trying to move people towards health is through service. And so we started this entire campaign called Worship. What is it called? Do you remember?
Worship center?
Worship an hour. You know,
Serve an hour.
there you go. Worship an hour, serve an hour. And in Worship an hour, serve an hour, all we want people to do is say, look, we want you to worship with us, but we also have this huge facility, and many people come here, and we have childcare and things like that, and we need you serving. So these are the cultural changes that are right now taking place in our church, so that people can move towards a more healthy, well-rounded church life. So in all of this excitement, it's so weird to me that there's some people that aren't so excited. And so I think it's our job, especially me on staff, to find those people and make sure that I'm talking to them. I'm making sure some of their needs are met. I can't do church exactly the way they want me to do it, but maybe I can make them feel so welcome and so happy and so loved that even though church might be hard for them for a minute, maybe after a while it'll become easier. I think that's about all I want to say. So those are some of the things that we're doing, Tony, to move people towards health in our own church, because when I got to this church, it was an unhealthy church. And I really think we're starting to move up in the ranks and becoming a healthy church. And I'm excited that I get to be a part of it. And I want to say thank you to my family for sitting here for 12 minutes now. One of them didn't make it. He snuck by and crawled on the ground. But that's kind of the gist of what I'm thinking to move people towards health at First Baptist Church in Las Cruces, New Mexico.